Our next speaker is Sofia Gonzalez. Sofia Gonzalez is an award-winning educator, international speaker, and leading voice in urban education and the Latino community in Chicagoland. With more than 20 years advancing education equity, she bridges systems, designs, and classroom practices that center racial justice and the belief that schools must be sites of healing, representation, and expansion for historically marginalized communities. A Fulbright Scholar to India through the U.S. Department of State's Teachers for Global Classrooms program and a World Learning Fellow to Argentina, Sofia has advanced cross-cultural learning and engaged with U.S. Embassy leaders on global education and diplomacy. She was the lead visionary of nonprofit Project 214 in honor of her first classroom, Room 214. Now a passion project of LULAC Scholarship Fund, it supported students and teachers across the United States, Puerto Rico, and Central America. An award-winning educator, she was named 2019 National Teacher of the Year by the National Society of High School Scholars. She currently serves as Vice President of Illinois LULAC Council 5238, the country's oldest Hispanic advocacy organization, and is an Advanced Illinois Fellow, focusing on multilingual learners and diverse teachers. She is a National Fellow alum with EdSurge, Latinos for Education, Urban Leaders Fellowship, Storytellers for Change, and ISTE's Generation AI cohort powered by Google. She's decorated, accomplished. In her 17th year of teaching English at Morton East High School in her home community, she serves a diverse student body, largely composed of first-generation students from immigrant families, whom she fiercely advocates for. Sofia holds a Bachelor's of Arts in English from Concordia University, Chicago, a Master's in Secondary Education from the University of Phoenix Online, and a dual Master's from St. Xavier University, Chicago in Reading, Curriculum, and Instruction. Her unwavering passion and steadfast commitment to justice and education are the legacy she hopes to leave on this earth. In a moment when the American education system feels fractured by grief, burnout, inequity, and loss, she invites the audience to ask a deeper question. What matters next when the system we relied on can no longer hold us? Please help me welcome our final speaker, Sofia, to the stage for her talk, Liberate the Lesson, What Urban Classrooms Teach.
Buenas noches. Good evening. Mark Twain once coined the phrase, there are two most important days in your life. The first would be the day that you are born, and the second would be the reason why. I shall open with my why. And it came to me as a question. So, Mrs. G, you graduated and you have your teacher's license. Wherever do you teach? Well, I replied, I've been teaching at a second chance school for kids who have either been kicked out or dropped out of the Chicago public school system, and well, their last chance is with me. Mrs. G. Gasps fill the air like dark clouds of smoke. You teach them? I mean, how much are they even gonna pay you anyways? Girl, why would you take it? And there it was. Though I understood the concern and the deep stigma burn with working with a bunch of unlovables, I felt a pounding need for justice to defend them. I took it because I've never met a group of them who survived what they've survived. I took it because I've never met a group of them who have fought back things like a heart attack. You'll never amount to nothing. You're just gonna be dead in no time. You're gonna be locked up in prison like your daddy kind of stuff and still come out with their head slightly up. I never met a group of them where between the man F yous and I have no clues how they pick up the pen and try again, but this time music comes from the paper that sings good effort, outstanding, and whoo, much better. Though my days would be long And my pushback against years of neglection and rejection would be so deep. Man, they'd become my heroes. Little did I know that as rookie teacher and preacher that I'd be the one to learn from them. Though I didn't reach them all and some did fall, but some got up and pressed the button reset and changed their mindset and walked down the aisle with cap and gown. That's why I took it and I take it. Does that answer your question now? So consider the scene. The year was 2009, and there I was, a rookie English teacher ready to start her journey in a gang-infested neighborhood with no backup and no budget. And let me tell you something, no teacher preparation program, no pedagogy, no best practices was about to prepare me for what I was going to experience. Immediately, I was confronted with some of our school system's most despairing issues on the backs and on the necks of some of our nation's most vulnerable children. And I could not unsee what I was about to behold. And I came across a series of firsts that changed my paradigm of thinking and my ideological framework of teaching and learning henceforth through the lived experiences of my students. And upon much contemplation, I unearthed this idea that we've got urban education all wrong here, rather than it just being a place for us to fix and label. I shall argue that it's actually the blueprint by which it should lead the way. Meet Adolfo. Adolfo would be my first student funeral. I could still hear the phone call ringing in my ears. Trigger warning. Mrs. G, they got him. They got him at a block party and he was DOA, dead, on arrival. His funeral was at the beginning of our school year. So rather than tightening up lessons and finishing classroom setup, we were preparing to bury our student. I would like for us to pause and just take that in for a second. Upon entering the church, it was packed from wall to wall. And immediately, two of my students approached me, wanting me to go to the casket with them because they did not want to travel alone. And so there I was, walking the dreadful middle aisle with two of my students, one on each arm, as they were sobbing, hiccups of sorrow. We approach in unison and peer down at our student, our friend, so distant and so gone. And I peer up the cathedral stained glass to what would appear as the Good Shepherd. And I heard a voice as audible as mine is now saying, "You know you have to do something about this, don't you?" Dismissing it, I go back to my seat and try to comfort as many students as I could. Upon leaving, I enter the parking lot and I lock eyes with his mother. Now, have you ever had a moment in your life where time pressed pause and that instant became undeniably sacred? Well, such would be the case for me. That black pavement, that turned into holy ground, because I would lead on to say something that would become the thesis statement of my life and the North Star of my work. I said, "Señora, 100% en español, 100% in Spanish. I don't know with who, and I don't know when. But all that I know is that I'm going to do something about this in the name of your son, with my classroom, with my heart, and with these hands." And realizing in that moment, I have just answered the call here. I made a very holy promise, and it has been over a decade later, and I have not broken it. Walking back to my car, I realized this isn't about lesson plans anymore. This is about lives and honoring those lives. Now in the driver's seat, I further contemplated. The kids are not broken here. The system is. And clearly not designed to see all of us thrive, but the problem is, some of us just don't make it. Some of us just don't survive. Meet Ruben. Ruben would be my first ICU visit, and I know what you're thinking based on this faded image. This is the era of the bad haircut for me, correct? But like I upgraded though, right? In all seriousness, trigger warning again, Ruben would almost be struck down walking to the bus stop texting in broad daylight. I remember visiting him after school as quickly as I could. Upon entering the ICU, I could still hear the monitors going beep, beep, beep. I could still see the wires draped about him. I inch closer. I touch his arm. He opens his eyes. And do you know what this knucklehead says to me? Mrs. G, are you here for my homework? No, knucklehead, although I would appreciate your 5-paragraph essay upon your return, I'm here for you, man. I'm here for you. And he looked at me and said, why? Why do you care? Because I do care, Ruben. And I see you. And you're going to graduate high school. Do you hear me? Right? And it would appear to me, teaching in high-needs, high-stakes environments, that all a student like Ruben truly needed was for an adult to see him. Ruben did end up graduating high school that year, making a full recovery. And he wound up giving that senior speech too, by the way. Walking out of that ICU, it became crystal clear. Connection over content, always. Meet Allison. Allison would be my last student story, but my initial entrance into the Latino struggle, otherwise known as La Lucha. And at this particular point in my journey, I'm teaching in my home community in the Chicagoland area with my brilliant black and brown babies, predominantly first generation Latino. And Allison came to me one year regarding some of the challenges that she was facing as a newcomer, stating the following: look, Ms. G, what EL students need right now is emotional support, finding pride in their culture, and helping them embrace both of them proudly. And as she was speaking, I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, I need to change the narrative here, not just for the adults, but for my Latino students. Waiting for her to finish, I said, Allison, listen to me. Nuestra cultura y nuestra idioma, our culture and our language, it is not a deficit. It is an asset. And I need you to wear both of them proudly. And her eyes got so wide, she had never heard that before. And Allison's story is not a single story. According to the NCES, it is estimated that 15 million students in the US classroom are indeed Latino, roughly at about 30% and skyrocketing, convincing me that if you invest in the Latino community, the fastest growing student population in the United States, you are investing in the prosperity of our democracy, and I was here for it. So I began to lean heavy into changing that narrative. Allison did indeed pass my class that year, aces back to back, AP language and composition, by the way. She went on to pass that college board exam that May. And here's where we should really celebrate Allison. She went on to win a full ride scholarship to Concordia, Chicago, my alum, proving my theory to be true. That if you see a student like Ruben, if you see a student like Allison, it could quite possibly change the trajectory of their entire lives. And so to me, it wasn't just about creating space in our classrooms anymore, but it was about holding space for our students instead. And around this time, Miguel Cardona was the U.S. Secretary of Education, and he's a Boricua too. Let's go. Because if you haven't noticed, I'm very Latina. I'm a Mexican, half Mexican, half Puerto Rican, half Boricua, half Chicana, half tortilla, half tostone. You're welcome. And when I saw him traveling the country with this mantra of bilingualism is our superpower, it did something in me. It's like he handed me a permission slip and giving me permission to function in my authentic self in a place and in a space that will either tempt you or tell you to shrink in an effort to make other people feel more comfortable. Representation mattered for this teacher of color that was constantly paying the brown tax. Now I felt seen. It was like Miguel pulled me to the side metaphorically and said, girl, I see you, Miss G. Channeling my students, I replied with a say less. I understand my assignments. And I began to lead from my Latina identity, disrupting and dismantling a Eurocentric curriculum, rewriting the teacher handbook, making it more healing, liberating, culturally responsive. And I began passing it out to the education community, and they were resonating with my revisions. Oh, and it became crystal clear that representation, it mattered for us all. In closing, the state of education is at a critical inflection point. It goes without saying that we need to meet this moment. And so after over 20 years of education equity work, 17 of those in the high school classroom, boots on the ground, Mrs. G, presente. Here's what I know matters next. Because you see, these series of firsts, they weren't just lessons. They were lessons waiting to be liberated. From the funeral service, to the ICU, to my classroom. Could it be that the very classrooms that we've been historically labeling and marginalizing, could it be that these are the very classrooms that have been trying to lead the way all along? The shimmers of their brilliance, despite great odds, we can no longer afford to ignore. And how do we keep missing it? The resilience, the resourcefulness, the rose, bursting from the concrete. And so maybe the question isn't what matters next. Maybe the real question is, what are we refusing to see? And so here's what I think matters next. Right now, right here, because you got to put your back into it. I believe that we need to finally be caught red-handed in the act of seeing it, believing it, and choosing to do something different because of it. And this isn't just for me and my students and families. Education is the cornerstone of our democracy. We were all teacher taught. I believe that I have proven that urban ed has earned the street cred to pave the way and leave a mark on the canvas of education's future. In the words of Maya Angelou, if you're going to leave a legacy, leave a mark that absolutely no one can erase. I thank you. Nueva York! New York!